Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Sansing. This is another edition of What's Going On in Corpus Christi, Texas. I am the president of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association, and we've had a meeting here recently, and I've got some members that are very concerned about things going on around this city. So I'll just go ahead and get started with this evening's show for you. This is I think the 11th of August already. Okay. Now, for the Board of Regents meeting that was on the 11th, which is today, and unfortunately I'm going to attend that, and I need to get this in on the air before I can finish that meeting today. But I hope the Board of Regents members will realize that there's been several of us who have asked them to please consider having the public comment section at the beginning of the meeting rather than at the tail end, because no one in the audience knows exactly when those meetings are going to end. Sometimes they have pretty extensive discussions and items that they need to discuss and so forth and so on. And then they go into closed session for, it could be 20 minutes, it could be 2 or 3 hours. And that's when they go in and discuss all the goings-on, I guess, with their attorneys and get legal advice on what to do with this, that, and the other. And, spend a bunch of money on attorneys because they can't make up their mind what to do usually. So there's your backhanded slap, Board of Regents members. I wish you'd depend more on what's right and knowing what's right than you do to try to get legal advice on when to have tea or coffee or whatever at the meetings. Okay. Now, that consideration of public comments is a result. I've gone to 2 previous meetings, and I have spoken to people about having those comments in the beginning, and so has Mr. Jack Gordy, the Vice President of the Taxpayers Association. And up until this point, we've had 0 response. Now, this is not going to be an action item. It's under Regents' comments, whatever that means. Okay? So I'm not real sure exactly what's going to happen, but I'm going to go over there and attend the meeting. And then another thing that's on that agenda item today is the purchase of the gas station at the corner of Costorix and Staple Street. It's right there where they have the Center for Economic Development, they call it. The people at Del Mar College call it the Southside Campus, not to be confused with the South Campus that they're attempting to build on 95 acres out south. So they're going to purchase that gas station right there on the corner. It's an eyesore. And then what they're going to do is they're going to have to spend a bunch of money digging up those old gasoline storage tanks where the pumps have been pumping that stuff out for years. I don't know if they have a pit in there that they use to work on automobiles or not. Normally if they have those with the hydraulic lifts and so forth, you've got oil underneath the buildings that contaminate the soil. Now, as far as the rules and regulations go, when you go and renovate and tear down a gasoline station and you're no longer going to use those underground storage facilities, you have to have those dug up, and you have to take the soil and have it analyzed, and then if it's contaminated you keep digging until you run into uncontaminated soil. And that can be extremely costly. Now, I've heard through the grapevine, and I'll try to confirm this, that the reason they want that corner is so they can grow grass out to the corner, and you can see the Economic Development Center. It's an old Albertsons grocery store that was converted several years ago. And now they're building this enormous studio for KDET television radio right next to it, or it really is part of the facility now. It's going to be right next to and built on a common wall with the Economic Development Center. So just to put grass out there and all, I don't know how much money that's going to take. Now, for years we've been told that there are no raises, and we can't afford this, and we're broke, and so forth and so on. That's the spin we get from the administration at Del Mar College. So for the life of me, I can't see all of a sudden where we can get all this money to expand Del Mar College in the face of plummeting enrollments. Okay, we're down 18% over the past couple of years. We're still told we're bursting at the seams, and we still don't have any money, which will bring me to another factor here in just a few minutes. Okay, so I don't know why we need that gas station to put up a marquee. I think everybody in town pretty much knows where Del Mar College is and what its boundaries are. Okay, now the agenda for the meeting for today consists of, and I just commented on the Regent's comments, discussion of placement of general public comment section and agenda. Okay, so I guess they're going to discuss it and see if they want to talk about it next week or next month at one of the meetings. Okay, now this is after the hoopla about where the president's been and so forth and so on. Okay, then we have the pending business section, and then we've got notice to the public of different things, items for discussion and possible action. It's rarely when they take and discuss anything and act on it. But one of these, as I said, was on the 9th item. Lord knows how long that's going to be into the meeting. This is the one I want to hear about, the gas station. Okay? Discussion and possible action related to the purchase of real property located at the corner of Costorix and Staples. It's 3201 South Staple Street, commonly known as the Corner Market, including the approval of a resolution for signatory authority for processing the required closing documents. Now, another thing that bothers me as a taxpayer is the fact that we go out of town to to close real estate deals and so forth and so on. I guess oversee the contracts, and that's usually Graves Daughtry and two others in that firm out of Austin at $400 and something an hour. When we've got plenty of local attorneys, very fine and knowledgeable real estate attorneys that could, I think, do it a whole lot cheaper here in town. So I don't know who's got a buddy up there in Austin with that firm, but I'm sure that's where the signatory authority for processing is required, processing the required closing documents. So I'm sure Graves Daughtry is going to make some more money out of town, and that's what we seem to do here in Corpus Christi, Texas. I know the city in one year, I think it was 2014, had sent $3.5 million in legal fees to outside firms, meaning outside of the Corpus Christi area. And folks, I mean, you know, what in the world is that all about? Okay, I would think an attorney here could handle most documents. So, and problems. But I'm going to be interested in that one. And then another factor is they're going to go into closed session. And this is when they go in and run everybody out of the meeting room, and they can consult with their attorneys or whoever they need to do, and whatever they need to do behind closed doors, which Lord knows what that consists of. Okay, I probably would not want to know. That would probably scare the stuff inside of me. Now I know I've been discussed in closed session here recently, and I'll get into the fact that Del Mar College is spending a lot of money with Graves Daughtry suing the Attorney General's office to withhold information that I'd requested that I needed after I had some lies told about me by my department chair and dean, and a disciplinary action letter going into my file. And that one is not over, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. All right, so I'm sure that I've been the topic of a lot of discussions in closed session, and I really hate that for you taxpayers, because, you know, all I want to do is go over there and do my job and not be hassled, not be lied about, not be lied to, and so forth and so on. You know, I mean, I've survived that place for 26 years now. I came in August '89. So, you know, I've been there a long time. I think I know what I'm doing, although the administration doesn't feel that way. You know, I'm a pain in their backside usually, because I tell the truth. And I'm tired of administrative bloat, which I'll hit in a minute. But as far as the closed session goes, this is what they talk about. It says Texas Government Code 551.071, and the 551 is the Open Meetings Act. Okay, consultation with legal counsel regarding pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer with possible discussion and action in open session, and the seeking of legal advice from counsel on pending legal or contemplated matters or claims with possible discussion and action in open session. Now, I don't, it's very rare when they come out of one of those and have any discussion and action in open session. It's extremely rare. Okay, so this is that secret meeting that they've got all the time. And then the second one they're going to discuss under 551.074A1, 2, personnel matters regarding the employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, including 1, annual evaluation of the college president and the president's contract with possible discussion and action in open session, and 2, informal grievance college president with possible discussion and action in open session. Now, I did file a grievance against the president a while back, okay, and I sent that to the Board of Regents members, and I haven't heard a word from that situation yet, okay? So I don't know what I can say. And then at the end of all of that mess is the general public comments, non-agenda items, 3-minute time limit, okay? Now, I've heard that there are people that say that they don't want to hear the comments from the public up front. This came secondhand to me from a citizen in Corpus Christi, and he was talking to a member of the Board of Regents and asked about public comments, and that regent told him that he didn't want to hear a bunch of people complaining in the beginning of the meeting, and that that wasn't what the board was there for. Now I don't know why the public, who pays for all that mess, folks, doesn't have a say-so in things. But then the killer was, well, if they wait until the end of the meeting, then we'll sort through and we won't have as many people complaining, and only the ones that really have a real legitimate complaint possibly would wait through all that time and effort and all the blather that goes on in those meetings, and then speak at the end of it. And you don't know when. So on a Tuesday, starting at 1 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, that puts a lot of pressure on the local citizens to leave a job and then go over there and sit and listen to all that stuff of no significance in many cases, than a bunch of pats on the back and good old boys and accolades, and wade through all that to address the people that you elected, that are supposed to be guiding the people that you hire with your tax money. Okay? I mean, I fail to understand what that's all about. I would think that the tax-paying citizens, or just the citizens in this town and the college district, would have the right to at least address those people when it was convenient for them, not when it's convenient for the Board of Regents members. And then to have comments made to citizens by board members at that level, I mean, that's pretty despicable, folks. And if I can confirm it, I'm going to talk to that regent head on and ask that person if they actually made those statements, and ask if they will come on this TV show or my other one, the South Texas News and Reviews, and just go ahead and discuss that. Now, another thing that's come up in a week or two ago at a special call meeting of the board was the proposed budget for 2016. And I think I've mentioned this. Now, back in 2013, I stumbled across some very disturbing information at Del Mar College in the Office of Business and Finance, and that was the fact that there were hundreds of thousands of dollars, now we found out millions of dollars, that had been written off as bad debts by Del Mar College. And if I take a look at the accounting, I would not have understood that, but I have a person who I have a great deal of respect for, who has helped me considerably understand this. He's extremely interested as a taxpayer in the finances and the shenanigans going on over there at Del Mar College himself. He's got a bachelor's degree in accounting. He's got a Master of Science degree in accountancy. Okay, And as far as I'm concerned, that's a step above an MBA. And then he has been a certified public accountant for at least 20, 30 years. And he's worked for some of the largest firms in not only Texas, but other places. Okay, Houston, Dallas, and so forth, the big corporations. So he knows what he's looking for at, and he knows how accounting should be done. And we found out that that's not true at Del Mar College. Okay, the process has got some real flaws in it. So all we're trying to do is maybe get you fine folks out there to call your regents and ask them if they would straighten that out. Now I'm going to read some stuff here in a minute that'll curl your hair. But under the proposed budget for next year, 2016, the expenditures, they go back to audit fees. Now, Del Mar's taken a lot of heat lately over, and not only on this show and my South Texas News and Reviews, but also with the local TV station, okay, particularly Channel 6, okay, KIRS, okay. Now, if you take a look at last year's budget for audit fees, which we don't have an internal auditor, by the way. That's really, when you get into $90 to $100 million worth of income, folks, at taxpayers' money, and that is taxpayers' money to support an institution of higher education, then you need to have the fees audited, okay? And you need to have the books audited, and you need to make sure that the taxpayers are not being ripped off. So in 2015, the budget for audit fees was $43,557. Now for 2016, after the light has been shown over there, they're in the spotlight, the projected amount for expenditures for audit fees is $310,000. Okay? Now if you divide the $43,000 into the $310,000 that is going up, that's a pretty high percentage, folks. That's a several fold times increase in that, probably 6 or 7. I'm not going to calculate it out. Okay, and then employee related, we've gone up from $13,981,500 to $15,903,500, which is a $2 million increase. If you look at faculty and adjunct monies, it's gone from $2.9 million to $3.0 million. So you're looking at about a $100,000 increase. And I don't understand how we can justify the difference between employee-related and faculty salaries and so forth. Okay, faculty and adjunct. Okay, and then here it is. The faculty salaries are $23,259,325 in 2015. And it doesn't seem like they're going to go up a great deal to $23,595,296.94. Now I don't know how they come up with the 94 cents, but that's beyond my comprehension. Then what we've got also is legal fees, or they're going to drop, it says here, from $325,000 to $175,000. Now what they're after now is to hire a full-time in-house attorney to take care of business over there. Now I would think if things were going well for Del Mar College and the people were not to the point where they're suing the college and so forth and so on, and for various reasons, I can go into several of them, but I'll refrain for the day. But I don't know why you need a full-timer over there. Now I don't think that you see that reduction from $325,000 to $175,000 does not include the amount of money they're going to have to wind up paying that in-house counsel. So that difference may be, just may be, thrown into administrative costs by way of an in-house counsel. Okay? And then I don't know about the vehicles. It's dropped from $500,000 in 2015 down to $100,000. I don't know what that means, whether they bought a whole bunch of new vehicles or whatever. I'd have to check into that one. So, something is amiss there. Now here's another thing that I'm going to spend the last 10 minutes talking about, and that is the fact that we have had about $73 million surplus in Del Mar College money over the last 11 years. Okay? 10 of those years we had a surplus. One of those years we did not. So $73 million, folks, is a lot of money to come up as a surplus. Now people over at Del Mar, they're bragging to the public and saying, hey, look how much money we've saved. We're just doing so well with this that we just need to pat ourselves on the back. Now, I have a big problem with that, and so does the seasoned accountant partner of mine, okay, Mr. Bennett. Now what we've done is, here is a question that goes out among the people who are accountants and internal auditors and people who keep up with government taxpayer money, okay? Is too much budget surplus a bad thing? Now at Del Mar they brag about it, okay? And I've heard them time and time since I've been there over the last 10 or 11 years say, well, you know, times are tough, we don't have any money, but guess what? Boom, we've got $6, $7, $8 million surplus out of this budget. We're doing so well. Okay? Well, yeah, if you don't hire full-timers and you fire a bunch of people and hire these contractors in there for even more money, then and I'll get into that later. But here's the question, and this is online, okay? And it says, is too much budget surplus a bad thing? And the answer is yes. Do you know what it means? Question mark. It means that the government has collected more taxes than necessary for their spending programs. Okay? The problem comes when the government then keeps that money, spends even more, and continues to expect those same revenues year after year. And that's what we've got at Del Mar College. And I heard it on the last meeting when they're going over the proposed budget that we're going to wind up with about $6 or $7 million surplus again this year, and boy, are we doing a good job. Okay? Now, what they've done is they have for many, many years not given anybody a raise. They cut out the, not incentive, but there was a little perk every year for years of service, about $600, $700 a year for every year you stayed in there and tolerated this. And so they're bragging about these surpluses. So I'd like to take a few minutes and read some more about what that really means. Okay, budget surplus at a taxpayer-supported entity. People generally believe that surplus is a positive attribute when they are talking about financial condition. Although this is generally true when you are considering for-profit corporations, a taxpayer-supported entity is completely different. Del Mar College. Okay? Now, if in not-for-profit entities, specifically taxpayer-supported entities, a budget surplus is indicative of an unusual event that generates more cash than anticipated, or an unanticipated reduction in expenses in a budget period. As we can see from the attached Del Mar College documents extracted from their audited financial statements, in 10 of the last 11 fiscal years, Del Mar College has generated budget surpluses. The accumulated surpluses from 2005 through fiscal year ended August 31st, 2014, amounted to more than $66 million. The College Comptroller, Mr. John Johnson, announced last Friday, on July the 31st, 2015, that he anticipates a budget surplus of approximately $7.2 million for the fiscal year ended August 31st of 2015. Okay? With the anticipated budget surplus for the current fiscal year, total cumulative budget surplus since 2005 will exceed $73 million. The following statement is from the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for 2014 on page number 10. This is Del Mar College. As the college closed out 2014, $6.8 million was added to the unrestricted reserve fund as a result of strong budget management and savings realized through the early retirement program and the college's reorganization efforts. Okay? Well, the reorganization efforts and the early retirement program is to take us old toots, me, that they say makes way too much money, and get rid of me, okay, by paying me a base salary for 9 months just to get rid of me, and then they can hire adjuncts, okay, at considerable savings for me, okay. But what you do at that stage of the game, people who are looking for full-time employment as a professional educator are going to go somewhere where they can get a little bit more stability than just a semester to semester, very low paying adjunct fee. And I know some former adjuncts that just are just devastated by the treatment that they received from Del Mar College. And I'm going to interview one of them here soon, and I'll give you the results of exactly what happened. Okay? So what we're trying to do at Del Mar College is water this thing down and make it like the Coastal Bend College, okay, up in Beeville. And what they've got is they've got a year-to-year faculty contracts. People get upset, and then that way, if you're not kissing the management's patootie over there, if you know what I'm talking about, then they just don't re-up you if you don't do exactly what they say. And I've seen some of the poorest managers as far as presidents go that I've ever seen. And then, you know, you've got nepotism supreme at Coastal Bend College, and nothing's been done about that because the local legal establishment, like district attorneys and county attorneys, are in bed with the people at the college. Okay? So, you know, you just... And we're headed that way, taxpayers, with Del Mar College. Okay? The college is attributing the budget surplus to several factors, including a strong budget management. If strong budget management were criteria for producing budget surpluses, it appears Del Mar College would have been making the same or similar statement for 10 of the last 11 fiscal years. Okay? A more plausible explanation for consistent budget surpluses earned over the last decade would be that Del Mar College has poor budget planning and execution. And I agree with that. Okay, remember, the goal of the taxpayer-supported entity is to produce enough revenue to pay all the expenses for the fiscal year, not consistently produce surpluses that effectively overtax the constituency. Okay? The tax rate for the ad valorem taxes is computed annually to provide enough revenue to fund the operating expenses of the entity. When the taxpayer-supported entity consistently produces a budget surplus at the end of the year, the taxpayers supporting the entity have effectively been overtaxed, and those budget surpluses can no longer be used for the purposes they were originally intended. Del Mar College is proposing an ad valorem tax increase for the next fiscal year. It is time to hold them accountable to properly manage taxpayer money and exercise the fiduciary responsibility that they were elected to uphold. Okay. And then we have, for clarification, an example. The college had $170 million invested in capital assets in August 31, 2014, and $166 million at August 31, 2013. Additions of $8.8 million were added to construction work in progress for costs associated with the music building renovation and Southside land purchase during the fiscal year. $6.8 million was transferred from construction work in progress to land once all cost associated with the purchase was completed. Okay? So they went out and bought that land, folks, to expand Del Mar College, which is going to be about a $200 million bond proposal for you. And that's on the heels of $157 million that you approved for improvements at East and West. And with plummeting enrollment, and then what can I say? And what the city's going to do now in CCISD is they're not going to increase their taxes, but they're going to get a big bump because of the evaluations of the property around here for taxing purposes. So, you know, you can play those. Taxpayers know that you're being ripped off. I want you to know that. So that's the end of it. The beeper goes on. Good night.